Hello class, I'm actually doing my presentation on creatine. The first question that comes to mind when you hear the word creatine is, what is creatine? That's what I was wondering for a while, so I decided to go ahead and ask my dad. Dad, what do you think about creatine?
I think everyone should eat creatine for breakfast every day.
What is creatine?
Creatine is it's made partially from Ovaltine, which is an old-fashioned dessert that's chocolatey and delicious, and cretins, who are muscular and strong. So when you have creatine, it helps you become a little bit of both. You're kind of sweet, but you're mostly strong.
Thank you, Dad. So, I wasn't 100% convinced what my dad said was legitimate after I heard it. So I turned to my other very good friend, Rex. Rex, do you use creatine?
Yes.
How much creatine do you use daily?
All of it, every day.
Do you ever feel dehydrated when you chase the ball?
Sometimes I get thirsty, but then I work a putter and I'm better.
Why are you licking the camera?
Texture.
And you know what? I almost believed what my dog was saying until he started to lick my camera, and then I realized that might be out of scope. That might not be legitimate. In all seriousness, though, like, creatine is something that has been everywhere from almost like forced down my throat by coaches to, like, I've had coaches coming up to me warning me to never take it. So I wanted to kind of look into it and see what really is creatine, and try and better understand why there's so many different opposing points of view on creatine. The first place I decided to look, which is where, I think anyone would look, like the average consumer, I was trying to make myself an average consumer, is I went to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia really stated nothing on what creatine did. It said, it's going to help you get bigger muscles, and basically all it did was warn those with kidney and liver disease to not take it. And it said, it states that dehydration and heat tolerance aren't issues with creatine, which is interesting because when I interviewed my brother, as you'll see, that was directly against what he said. The next place I decided to check is I actually went to GNC to try and interview someone. And what I thought was interesting is when I was talking to the person at GNC, they were all for doing an interview. They were like, yeah, like, you know what, I've never liked creatine. I think it's a waste for athletes. I think that people doing endurance sports aren't going to see much benefit out of it. Then they went and talked to their manager trying to get permission to do the interview, and they came back and said, I'm sorry that, I'm not allowed to do the interview, basically. And I went to 2 different GNCs. I got the same results from both, and both of them basically told me that they recommend electrolytes to people who come up, asking for creatine. I then went to a Vitamin World store, where I convinced this guy to do like this brief interview. And privately, again, he was saying against the creatine, he wasn't for creatine. And then when I got him on camera, he all of a sudden turned around and decided to endorse the product.
All right. Personally, I think that creatine is not a bad thing to take, as long as you're not taking it for like years and years. There's even safer ways to take it, crealkaline, which is creatine, just another kind of patented blend. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say, I guess. So I think it's good. I think it's all right to take.
And I know that there's a lot of concerns around dehydration and heat exhaustion. Like, how do you think?
As long as you are drinking an adequate amount of water with it, because obviously you're drawing all the water away into your muscles. As long as you kind of replenish that, I think you should be okay.
And who do you think should take creatine? Like weightlifters, runners, like what kind of athlete, or is it good for everyone?
I think any athlete could take it. More mainly bodybuilders and weightlifters would get more benefits from it, but even runners and stuff could benefit from it too. So
went then to some online stores. First to GNC, which was saying that creatine has become the most popular supplement. Creatine is going to promote cellular hydration, which is directly against what a lot of people have warned about. Creatine, numerous studies help improve athletic performance. All these claims with asterisks next to them. So I went, and on the bottom of the page in tiny print was something that said, these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, cure, to prevent any disease. So I realized everything that they said, basically, they were just making claims and then saying, well, none of these claims are supported. That happened again. I went to a different online store. Again, promote athletic performance, help increase strength and power, is good during short-term, high-intensity exercise. And then all of these, again, had asterisks next to them with a little thing at the bottom of the webpage saying that these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. And even when I went to the American College of Sports Medicine, when I typed in creatine, all that popped up pretty much were just advertisements to try and convince me to buy creatine. So I started to begin to think that creatine really doesn't have as many health benefits as the legend makes it out to be. In fact, this article published in 2000 entitled "Creatine is King" was saying that creatine is popular because it's so easy to buy, that $40 million worth were sold in 1999, and that like athletes like Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire take it. They were saying that it helps build your biceps, increase energy levels. But then, again, they went back and they were saying that none of these claims have been supported. They said that although the natural compound is 3 amino acids, doctors fear hydration, muscle tears, diarrhea, and kidney failure. Kind of embarrassing, I laughed at that. So I decided finally to ask 2 people who I really kind of trust their advice. First, I asked my brother, because my brother does a surprising amount of research on nutrition. So I asked him, and here's a little interview. Would you describe... All right. So as an athlete on the market, what do you think that like the benefits and the downfalls to creatine might be?
Well, the thing I've always heard about creatine is that it adds in a few extra reps each set. It basically gives you more energy. I mean, from a biochemical perspective, I know it functions something like ATP. It's basically just primary, directly metabolic energy for the cell that you can use. So I guess that's the advantage I've heard. The risk I've heard came from a couple of secondary sources that I've heard stories of people overheating and passing out. When I was looking into basic underwater demolition, which is the first SEAL school, creatine is one of the few supplements that are legal that they explicitly say you can't have. And their reasoning for it is they had a lot of people just completely pass out and go into shock on runs. So those are kind of the 2 sides of the story I've heard about it.
And then next I decided to go and I actually just decided to look at what Joan had to say. Joan acknowledged the claim that it increases muscle mass strength and makes athletes faster and stronger. But really, according to the book, there's just mixed results on this. It shows increase in mass strength and high intensity, like short, weightlifting, Rex, stop. Weightlifting things. But it's, in terms of endurance, it's kind of mixed results, which really, unless if you're a weightlifter doing like short, sprints, I guess, you aren't doing that much of a, high intensity, low rep. Football, basketball, soccer, major sports, and include a lot of endurance type movement. And what was interesting that Joan said though, so there's kind of 2 spectrums here that I want to acknowledge. The first spectrum is the belief that creatine is evil, that no one should ever take it, that it has no benefit. When I talked to the trainer in the gym, they didn't allow me to bring in a camera, but he was basically saying the only thing to take is your butt to the gym. He thought that was funny. Then he was talking about how like that supplement is a waste of time. My coach, one of them, was saying how it caused his kidney problems, even though I found out he was drinking like 5 gallons of water every day and like whatever. So that's one end of the spectrum. And then the next is people claiming that it's just going to make you an all-around better athlete, that it's going to increase stamina, that it's going to increase everything. Joan is basically saying, and as my brother said, and this is what I agree with most, I think creatine as a whole is going to help you with high intensity, maybe getting like a few more reps in, increasing weight in the gym. And really, it's not gonna have any effects on blood pressure, kidney, liver functions among healthy people. Those with illnesses should watch out. The other thing to consider before you take creatine, those are the two ends of the spectrum. I think somewhere, in the middle is healthy. But the other thing to keep in mind is that creatine can't be sustained. Creatine is going to increase your water weight in your muscles. Rex, creatine is going to increase water weight in your muscles, and yeah, it is going to help you with reps and stuff, but creatine shouldn't be sustained. You're getting it naturally through your liver and kidneys anyway, so there's no need for you to really be taking creatine is my end of the thing. Basically take your omega-3s, obviously you're getting a lot of your vitamins naturally, but there's not a whole lot of supplementation that needs to be taken, and I personally don't believe that creatine needs to be taken. Facts. Rex, do you take creatine?